to return. The problem is that although you have memories of how to kill a person with a pencil, you have no idea what the final mission of this body is. Suddenly, you hear knocking on the door. A male voice informs you from outside that a request from a high-priority client has arrived. You open the door. In front of you is a young man with black hair with a sleep mask lifted onto his forehead. According to your memories, this is number 6. He informs you straight up. A powerful drug lord has put a price on his rival's head. The offer is $7 million immediate payment. Your instinct tells you to accept. Maybe this is the mission. Maybe you just have to kill this guy, and you will be free. But your experience from the previous 2 lives screams at you that nothing is that easy. You know that if you are not careful, this will end in tragedy. You decide not to make mistakes. With your authority, you order the entire team to assemble. 15 minutes later, your team of assassins has fully assembled in the boardroom. You quickly evaluate your 7 subordinates. Number 1 is the embodiment of lethal elegance, dressed like a modern aristocrat in a tailored suit and black leather gloves. You notice he looks at the other 6 with absolute disdain, as if they were insects. Number 2 is the complete opposite, a loudmouth covered in gold and diamonds, who constantly tries to convince the others to invest in his new crypto scam. Number 3 is a mass of scarred muscle, a fierce man who growls at his colleagues but looks at you with absolute respect. The next one is a common-looking man dressed discreetly, but his eyes move constantly, capturing every detail of the room, like a surveillance camera. They call him Number 4. Number 5 is a terribly obese man who eats non-stop even during the meeting. And finally, there is Number 7, the only woman in the group with a captivating beauty and a confidence that fills the room. Her eyes shine with a danger that could hypnotize anyone. You wait until everyone is seated and silence reigns. With a firm voice, you announce the target assassinate a drug kingpin for a reward of $7 million. The initial reaction is quite indifferent. For them, this is routine. However, when you add that this mission will require the joint participation of all 7 members, the atmosphere changes completely. Their faces show genuine surprise. Number 2 is the first to break the silence. He raises his hand and openly questions your logic. He asks why it is necessary to mobilize everyone for a medium difficulty mission. He immediately demands to handle the mission alone, and you cannot help but notice the greed in his eyes as he calculates that he could keep the $7 million for himself alone. Before you can react, Number 3 slams the table with fury, shouting insults at Number 2 for daring to question one of your orders. Number 2 simply shrugs, trying to justify that he is only trying to optimize resources for you. Suddenly, silence falls again. 7 pairs of eyes lock onto you, waiting for your final verdict. You start to feel insecure. You think that maybe you exaggerated, that maybe they will suspect if you act irrationally. You try to keep calm. With a sigh, you cave and say that it is fine, let it be done, as Number 2 says. Barely finishing the sentence, the temperature of the room drops below 0. The look of respect transforms instantly into bloodlust. Number 1 speaks with a cold and sharp voice. He asks you who you really are. He says that the manager never changes a decision once made. You try to regain your composure, raising your voice, threatening these insolent subordinates, but it is already too late. You have just signed your own death warrant. Number 1 pulls a knife from his sleeve with a speed that the human eye can barely follow. You do not even have time to raise your hand. You feel the cold blade pierce your neck and you fall to the floor, choking on your own blood. As your vision blurs and life abandons you, you hear Number 2's voice in the distance. He says with a bored tone that you were indeed an imposter, because if you were the real manager, the one who would be dead on the floor right now would be Number 1. You have died. You wake up with a start, frantically bringing your hand to your neck, looking for the wound that should be there. There is no blood. There is no cut. You remain paralyzed for a moment, breathing heavily, wondering if it was all just a horrible nightmare. But you immediately dismiss that idea. The pain of the blade cutting your throat was too real, too intense to be a simple illusion. You look around. You are in the King of Assassins' luxurious room, totally intact. Suddenly, you hear the sound that confirms your fate. History repeats itself. Number 6's voice resonates from the other side of the door, repeating exactly the same words you heard before dying. Immediately, cold reality hits you. You have returned to square one. Now you understand God's cruel warning. You cannot return to heaven, nor can you even die in peace until you complete the mission. And you learn another lesson the hard way. Having the king's memories does not make you the king. One slip up, one sign of weakness, and your own wolves will devour you. You must act with absolute precision. You adjust your mask of coldness and enter the meeting room. The scene is identical. The same familiar faces, the same arrogance of number 1. But this time, you flip the script. With a voice that brooks no argument, you point at number 3. You order him to handle the mission alone. No one objects. Number 3 nods with fanatical gratitude for the opportunity you have given him. The meeting ends without corpses. Back in your room, you sigh with relief, but the anxiety returns. You wonder what the true mission is. Killing a drug kingpin is something trivial for this unit. That cannot be the final objective. You search your memories and notice a disturbing detail. No one calls you king. Everyone calls you manager. The conclusion is clear and terrifying. Your mission is not to complete a job, but to become the true king of assassins, to earn the title that this body still does not fully deserve in the eyes of the world. This is a mission too difficult for you. You feel desperate. But then a spark ignites. You do not just have the memories of the king of assassins, but also those of your 2 previous identities, the Sakari and the ninja. You will train. You will combine the experience of the 3 identities to create the ultimate weapon. You decide to start with the basics. Physical training. You mentally prepare yourself to suffer, but what you discover leaves you stunned. The body you inhabit is not human. It is a perfectly tuned biological machine. Your speed is extraordinary. Your strength is lethal, and your flexibility defies all laws of anatomy. When you wield a knife or a gun, you do not even need to think. Your hands move on their own, guided by muscle memory, forged in thousands of battles. In that moment, the truth hits you. The problem is not the vehicle, the problem is the driver. The King of Assassins' body is a weapon of mass destruction, but you, the consciousness controlling it, are too slow. Your reflexes have a delay of milliseconds, and in your world, that means death. You decide to change strategy. You dig deep into the memories of your past lives and design a hellish training regimen focused solely on reflexes. You blindfold yourself and practice dodging pendulums swinging unpredictably. You toss a handful of coins into the air and try to catch them all before they hit the ground. You subject yourself to reaction tests with strobe lights to sharpen your visual perception. You train with a manic obsession, sweating to eliminate every weakness. But you are so focused on improving yourself that you make a rookie mistake. You do not watch your surroundings. From the shadows of an upper balcony, a figure watches you in silence. It is number 1. His cold eyes analyze your every move. To him, this is not training to improve. It is a sign of decline. He thinks age is finally catching up with you, that the old lion is losing his claws. A cruel, ambition-filled smile appears on his face. If the king is weak, maybe the time has come for a new leader to take power. During the monthly meeting, something unexpected happens. Number 1, with a defiant tone, requests a friendly sparring match with you. This request explodes like a bomb in the room. The other 6 members freeze. Number 7 leans toward number 2 and whispers with fear, asking if number 1 has lost his mind. All of them clearly remember your previous training sessions. Training with the manager never ended with one's body intact. It is a physical and mental pain that haunts them to this day, even long after graduating. You do not react immediately. You simply stare at number 1. You do not blink. You do not move. That silence turns into psychological pressure that engulfs the entire room. Number 1 begins to doubt himself. Beads of cold sweat appear on his forehead. His mind starts racing. He thinks you know. He believes you discovered he was watching you, and that your weakness during training was a trap to test his loyalty. While they tremble, imagining your wrath, the truth is that the only scared person is you. You know very well that if you accept the fight right now, you will die. You are not yet ready to face him. You maintain your calm appearance and utter 3 words that destroy his self-esteem. You are not worthy. Then you sweep the room with a murderous glare. Everyone lowers their heads, avoiding your gaze at all costs. You stand up slowly and leave the room without looking back, leaving number 1 red-faced with shame. Upon reaching your room, you close the door and collapse to the floor. Your gamble paid off. Just when you thought the training days would pass peacefully, a deafening roar breaks the silence, leaving your ears ringing. The bunker's reinforced steel door flies off its hinges as if it were a sheet of paper. Through the smoke and debris, a heavily armed tactical squad bursts into the room. They move fast looking for your position. They are not amateurs, but you are no longer the same as before. You have managed to partially adapt to the reflexes of the manager's body. You move like a ghost hiding behind the wall. As soon as the first one enters, you disarm him by breaking his elbow joint, use his body as a human shield, shoot the second one in the head, and neutralize the third one with a lethal blow to the throat. It is a fluid and brutal dance of death. You manage to escape the kill zone, leaving a trail of corpses behind. Following your memories, you run towards the secret emergency exit. Upon reaching the tunnel door, you see number 1 with his back to you. With adrenaline still coursing through your veins, you put your hand on his shoulder and scream at him to run, that the base has been compromised. The answer is a sharp and familiar pain in your stomach. You look down. A combat knife is buried in you up to the handle. Again. You fall to your knees, coughing up blood. You look up. Number 1 no longer has his usual coldness. He has a maniacal smile completely out of control, warping his face. But at the same time, tears of pain run down his cheeks. It is the face of a broken man. Darkness swallows you, and you wake up with a start in your room. The feeling is indescribable. You know that number 1 is the traitor. However, strangely, you do not feel hate. The manager rescued the 7 from human traffickers, but at the same time trained them since they were kids with inhuman methods. For them, the manager was both a father and the monster who stole their childhood and their humanity. The final image of his face, laughing and crying, remains etched in your mind. And then the relentless sound of fate resonates again. The vicious cycle begins again. This time, everything runs smoothly. You have managed to synchronize with 60% of the original body's capabilities. Number 1 watches you train and no longer sees any weakness. He only sees the deadly perfection he is used to. There are no longer doubts, only obedience. Convinced that your mission is to become the king of assassins, you gather your 7 apostles of death. You give them the new objective: total domination of the underworld. No one objects. Everyone nods, ready to follow your orders to the ends of the earth. Using the black market's encrypted communication channels, you issue a global recruitment call. Your reputation is so legendary that it becomes an irresistible magnet. Mercenary snipers and psychopaths from all over the world answer your call to serve under your banner. Your squad of 8 people quickly transforms into a private army of hundreds of elite assassins. If the criminal world respected you before, now they fear you absolutely. The other criminal organizations kneel before you or are exterminated. But all that noise finally wakes up the only beast bigger than you, the government. The cleanup operations begin. At first, the war is quite balanced. Your men attack like ghosts from the shadows, assassinating high-ranking officials and sowing terror within the government. For a while, you have the upper hand, crushing your opponents with brutality. But then the state stops playing cops and robbers and sends in the army. This is no longer a battle. It is a one-sided massacre. Your organization is being destroyed piece by piece before numerical and technological superiority. Now the army is right at the gates of your base. You hear explosions outside and the desperate screams of Team 7 who sacrifice themselves uselessly trying to stop the advance of an unstoppable force. You sit in the leather armchair in the relative silence of the room. On the table is a loaded gun. You hear the army's footsteps in the hallway getting closer and closer. You understand that this method has failed. You pick up the gun calmly. Loop 148. You have tried everything. You have tried eliminating the competition one by one. You have tried buying the underworld with financial empires. You have tried ruling from the shadows. But you always fail. Despair consumes you. You realize that the problem is not your strength. At this point, you have far surpassed the original owner of the body. But to be the king, you need fame. And in this business, fame is a death trap. The better known you are, the bigger the target on your back. You feel powerless before this paradox. Suddenly, an idea crosses your mind. If this world is real, why do you have to follow the script? You could disappear without a trace and start a normal life with a new identity. You execute the plan immediately. You flee to a quiet province in Thailand, adopting a new identity as a simple tourist. You are sitting at a street stall, enjoying your favorite cake. Suddenly, you cannot breathe. You are choking. You try to hit your chest, but it is useless. You die suffocated by a piece of sweet dough. As your consciousness fades, you cannot believe that after surviving wars and shootouts, a dessert killed you. You promise yourself to be more careful. But soon, you discover fate's cruel joke. When you try to run from your mission, the universe eliminates you in increasingly ridiculous and creative ways. Slips in the shower, rare infections, absurd traffic accidents. Finally, in loop 179, you manage to decipher the bad luck pattern. You live with extreme caution. Years pass. You grow old. You die peacefully of old age on a beach watching the sunset with a wrinkled and tired body. You close your eyes, waiting for eternal rest. Loop 180. You are back in the room young again. You scream in frustration. You are about to go crazy. You understand the terrible truth. It does not matter how long you live or how you die. If you do not obtain the title of King of Assassins, this loop will never end. Despair clears your mind and leads you to a radical idea, something you had never considered before. If being a criminal leads you to death, what would happen if you switched sides? What would happen if the world's greatest assassin offered his services to the government? You contact one of the nation's highest-ranking officials. You make him a proposal. You will eliminate any enemy he points out in exchange for only one thing: the government's official recognition of you as the King of Assassins. Surprisingly, the man does not look at you with suspicion or contempt. On the contrary, he smiles at you like a friend, praising your desire to abandon the criminal life to serve the country. He tells you that to fully trust you, he needs a proof of loyalty. You must assassinate the leader of a rebel faction that has been causing problems for the state. You accept without hesitation. The operation is ridiculously simple for you. With your current level, the help of Team 7 is unnecessary. You infiltrate the rebel camp like a ghost, finding the breaches in security that only someone who has lived hundreds of lives could see. You enter the leader's room while he sleeps. With a simple piece of rope, you help him have a much deeper and eternal sleep. Mission accomplished. You inform the official, who euphoric christens your new unit with the name The Shadow. You return to the base and inform Team 7 that the organization will now operate under the direct command of the government. The news lands like a bombshell. Number 1. Number 2 and Number 4 protest, violently refusing to be government puppets. These actions do not change your decision. You make an announcement that leaves them stunned. You say that anyone who wants to leave, whether to join another organization or to retire, is free to do so without punishment. The meeting room falls silent again. No one moves, suspecting it is one of your deadly tests. You do not wait for their reaction. You simply tell them that if they decide to stay, you will see them tomorrow in the meeting room, and you walk out. The next day, you enter the room. Only 3 people remain: Number 3, Number 6, and Number 7. Seeing the empty chairs, Number 3 explodes in fury, screaming that the others are ungrateful traitors. Number 6 leans back in his chair with his usual laziness, but his eyes have a thoughtful depth that no one can understand. Number 7's eyes are red and swollen. She clearly cried all night over the broken family. You are not surprised. After hundreds of loops, you understand their souls better than they do themselves. You know exactly where they have gone. Number 1 and Number 4 will form a rival assassin organization. Number 2 will found a money laundering company. And Number 5 will fulfill his dream of opening a small bakery. With a gesture, you indicate to the loyal 3 that it is time to move. The original Team 7 is dead. The era of the Shadow begins. You begin executing the assassination missions assigned by the government. The targets are diverse from terrorist cell leaders and untouchable corporate tycoons to dangerous cult leaders. All are individuals. The government cannot openly attack with military forces without causing an international scandal or a civil war. Little by little, your team becomes an extremely effective deterrent force. Enemies of the state begin to disappear or become suspiciously docile. The legend of the Shadow grows more every day. One day you receive the call you were waiting for. The high-ranking official hands you the file for the final mission. He promises you that once this job is completed, the government will mobilize all its machinery to officially crown you as the King of Assassins. You open the folder. The objective is to eliminate a hitman organization that is growing rapidly and challenging the existing order. You do not need to read the names. You know exactly who they are. It is the organization founded by Number 1 and Number 4. The war that follows is incredibly fierce. It is not a clean and fast operation like the previous ones. Number 1 and Number 4 use very unconventional tactics and strategies. The conflict turns into a bloody chess match in the streets. There are ambushes, explosions, and shootouts that last for hours. These two force you to use 100% of your capacity. In fact, they have cost you a life. Maybe in another timeline, they are the heroes who defeat the master. But not in this reality. Finally, you corner them in an abandoned cargo port. Their organization has been destroyed, and they are trapped at the end of the dock out of ammo and wounded. You approach them slowly. Number 1 and Number 4 are sitting on the ground, leaning against a rusted shipping container. There is no fear in their eyes, only a silent acceptance of fate. You stand in front of them, with your gun in hand. Before pulling the trigger, you ask them if they have any last words. Number 1 looks you straight in the eyes with blood dripping from his teeth. He asks if you are proud of what the two of them managed to build. You nod solemnly and tell them that you are very proud of them. A peaceful smile appears fleetingly on their faces. 2 shots ring out in the darkness. The mission is over. You return to the Shadow's operational base. The atmosphere is grim. Number 7 approaches you. Her eyes have lost that dangerous and seductive glint that made her famous. With a trembling voice, she tells you she is retiring. She cannot take it anymore. Recent events have been devastating for her psyche. Having to participate in the hunt and extermination of Number 1 and Number 4, whom she considered her brothers and her only family, has shattered her spirit. You nod and allow her to leave without conditions. You know that this emotional impact is brutal for any of the 7. Perhaps if this had happened in your first loops, you too would be consumed by pain and guilt. But the difference between them and you is vast. They only live one life with a single heart that can break. You, on the contrary, have gone through this hell almost 200 times. Your emotions have frozen layer by layer. Your heart no longer feels. It is a cold stone. The only thing occupying your mind is the supreme goal becoming the King of Assassins to escape this temporary prison. And then, the government keeps its promise, although through a twisted and Machiavellian path. They do not organize any secret ceremony for you. They decide to use you as the ultimate political tool. They blame you for all the assassinations of high-ranking officials, for every elimination of corrupt businessmen, and for all the illegal activities that the state itself ordered in the last decade. They wash their blood-stained hands by dirtying yours. They make public an inflated list of victims and reveal the structure of your organization to the whole world. The international media explodes in hysteria. On every screen in every newspaper, you are granted the title you have longed for so much. The world fears you and recognizes you. Congratulations. Officially, you have become the King of Assassins. You let out a curse filled with rage that echoes off the walls of your room. The media calls you the King of Assassins. The government recognizes you, but nothing happens. The world does not disappear. The white light does not appear. You wonder if perhaps you need the recognition of the entire underworld, not just the law. You start to test every possible variant. You lose count of the loops. You no longer know what life number you are in. You have tried everything. You have even gone to the extreme of dominating the entire world through absolute terror, forcing presidents and crime bosses to kneel before you and shout your title. But nothing works. You always wake up again in that bed. The loop continues. Exhausted and empty, you decide to do nothing else. You sit in the dark of the room, thinking, letting time pass. In an endless loop, the truth hits you like a bolt of lightning. You realize that you have been wrong this whole time. The reason why all assassin lives end in tragedy has nothing to do with controlling the body or fighting fate, but resides in the very nature of the assassin path: violence, death, and mutual destruction. No matter how perfect your control is, this path always leads to death, suffering, and an endless loop because it violates the moral law of cause and effect. Violence begets violence. The Sicarii chose the path of extreme violence to seek the freedom of their homeland, and this caused the Roman army to respond with even fiercer violence, leading to the tragedy of the Masada fortress. The ninja stole secrets from territories, which created greed and led to violence against common people. Both fates symbolize that violence indirectly reaches those around them, or the perpetrators themselves. This third time having total control, you unwittingly chose the path of violence yourself by seeking to become the king of assassins. And the result was that you actively created a spiral of violence. Now you feel genuine remorse. You no longer want to complete the mission just to escape the loop. You decide to abandon the path of violence to seek true salvation and redemption within this infinite time loop. You open your eyes and you are no longer in that dark room. You have returned to heaven. You feel a lump in your throat, a sensation you thought you had lost centuries ago. Your emotions, which were dead and buried, suddenly revive. You do not know how many years have passed, but for the first time in thousands of lives, you cry. Tears stream down your face uncontrollably. God appears in front of you smiling,